Hi, guys, and welcome to yet another session today at Crypto Miners. And you already know me. I am your host. My name's Jenny, and on today's session, or this session rather, we will be chatting with the team from Project TXA, and I would like to mention that if you are new to any of our sessions, do well to stay till the end of the session. And then if you have any question at all that you would like to ask the team, you would like to know about the project, everyone will get the opportunity to ask their question. We'll try to take as many as we can. We have the chief architect of of the Project TXA, Jay Yang. He's going to be the one representing the project and, you know, uh, talking to us about what we need to know about the Project TXA. So, um, I don't know. Jay Yang, I see you here, but okay, perhaps I should just. Right. Jay Yang, I have invited you to speak, so please accept it and we can begin.
Yeah, thanks for
Jay
thanks.
Yang?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thanks for having us.
Great. Hi, welcome to this session. It's great to have you here.
Glad to be here. Thank you for inviting.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So I am excited to really get into this chat because I think Project TXA is one of the project that personally, and this is just me, I find interesting. Okay, so I would really like us to dive right in so that we can cover as many aspects as we can before we open it up to the community. Is that okay? Are you ready?
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Yep.
Awesome, awesome. Now let's start with an introduction of the team. Um, yes, an introduction of the team, and then maybe a little bit of background into the team. That is prior to the development of this particular project. Then before we get into any overview or the question aspects, please.
Yeah. Oh, oops. Seems like a little bit of breakdown there. Yes, absolutely. Let's get started.
Okay. So I wanted us to like begin with an introduction.
Oh,
Um,
I'm so sorry. Yeah, it seems like Twitter Spaces is breaking up a little bit. Yeah.
no, 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 it's fine. I encountered it a lot today, so I totally understand.
Right, right. Yeah, thank you and apologies on that. Yeah, so thanks for invite, and I'm Jay Yang, Chief Architect of Project TXA, and we have developers and team members who are listed on website txa.app. We're open source projects aiming to uh, push the state of art in terms of cross chain settlement. So, what are we trying to do? We're really trying to solve um, the problem of the day, which is how do we make exchanges faster, cross chain, but also non custodial. So you know if you're a technology builder on top of blockchain systems out there, you'll realize that you can maybe build something that is non-custodial, maybe build something that is cross-chain, but not something that is non-custodial, cross-chain, and fast, or two out of three essentially. Um, so there isn't a ecosystem infrastructure that exists that lets you build these things as a application builder. So what what Project TXA is trying to do is, okay, how do we prevent FTXs in the future? Because FTXs happen because well, custody is centralized, right? And it allowed Sam Bankman-Fried to kind of use depositor money in a way that he shouldn't have, and so on and so forth. So the only solution to that is having a decentralized exchange or non-custodial exchange. But how do you also make the DEXs faster? So when we start thinking about these things, there's a limitation on what technology that's already available, and you kind of need to then think, what are the underlying tech, and how do we build our way out of it? And we can build our way out of it. This is eminently doable. So what Project TXA is doing is building a cross-chain crypto assets settlement network that is trustless, first of all, that allows for exchanges and other services to exist on top of it. You can kind of think of it like how Visa, a credit card network works. Visa network, Visa the company only lends certain protocol. It tells card processors and card issuers and merchants, hey, here's how you interact with us. But really, like it provides, although it's a closed source version of it, essentially, it provides a common platform to build this, credit card transaction system. So that's analogous to what we're doing with Project TXA. We are building a cross-chain settlement network that allows for non-custodial exchanges to be built on top. That can be designed in a way that is fast and low fees and everything. Sorry for a very lengthy introduction to the project, but it's a great project.
No. It's fine. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to talk about the project and learn about the project. So, yes, by all means, lengthy introduction is definitely good. All right. Let me begin by asking, what would you say are the key benefits of using TXA, compared to other similar projects out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Um, there are projects that are out there that are sort of in the space, but not really. Like for example, Cosmos is a great project. I mean, it's got solid tech behind it. Same with Polkadot, and they touch upon cross chain compatibility for different blockchains, but they don't necessarily suit our needs because they're intended for much more general computing. So general computing, as in because they need to perform arbitrary computation that they necessarily need to be a little bit more complex than needed. For other technology that is not really a platform tech or open source, like for example DYDX, that's a great exchange. It's really fast, but it's also um, what would you call it? It's limited to Ethereum ecosystem. So if I were to buy, by the way, I don't hold any Cardano, but let's say that I wanted to buy Cardano from DYDX, and they do have it listed. I can't really withdraw Cardano because it's a representative asset, um, which means they don't have cross chain functionality. So I think there are a number, and then finally there's a interesting project called LiFi LIFI protocol, uh, but it exists in the current ecosystem where it allows cross-chain swap to happen by uh, linking the existing LPs and the swap protocols and using existing bridge networks. So but which means that it doesn't allow sort of a fast non-custodial exchange to sit on top of it because what it does is it utilizes existing bridge network. So there are number, yeah, again, like I said, there are a number of tech that sort of touch upon one or two aspects of concern, but not all of it. So that's what I think what sets Project TXA apart, in that we're trying to address how do we make a cross-chain crypto asset settlement network that allows extremely fast exchange of assets to happen on top of it. That's very unique offering, I think.
Oh, thank you, Jay, for taking out like how do I explain this? Like breaking it down in a way that everyone can understand. Now, I understand that you the Project TXA is launching a swap app, right, this summer, and I would like to know, or rather, we would like to know, some of the major differences, between this swap app and any other app that is in the market. Like, how will it be better for traders?
Yeah. So that's again a great question. You got just you're just getting to the heart of the matter here, which is, so if one were to use Uniswap app, um, it's a great app, and it's battle tested, but it only works for Ethereum networks assets. So you can't really swap ETH for Matic directly, for an example. Um, and then various swap uh, dexes on the market right now. They're only they only work for internal assets, like the assets that are internal to a particular network. Um, what that oh uh, maybe reconnected. Okay, seems like we're okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so because it's only particular to a certain a network that it operates on top of, you can't do like cross chain trades. So the first thing that the swap app will be different is that it'll allow for cross chain assets to be traded. So for an example, you can trade ETH on Ethereum directly for Matic on Polygon. You might say, well, I can just use a bridge. Why would I want to do that? Well, if you use a bridge, there's additional step, right? So you need to get a wrapped ETH or WETH, and then bridge that to Polygon, and then use WETH in Polygon to get Matic on Polygon, right? So it is an additional step. Whereas in exchange, swap app that we're going to be launching, you just need to have address that you're willing to use in both chains, and that's it. And maybe asset in one of the chains if you want to swap something. Um, the real benefit to it is that the fee for swapping is going to be very low. It's going to be 0.1% instead of like.
Hi guys, so sorry about that. Definitely a server error from Twitter, obviously. And prior to now, you would notice that it's been crazy here on Twitter. So sorry for that. And Jay, I just sent you an invite to speak. So um, if you see it, we can begin.
All right, there we go. We're back. can can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's all good. It happens. So yeah, thanks for restarting, and thanks everyone for rejoining. Jenny, would you mind inviting Project TXA account as a speaker as well, so that folks can
Okay.
kind of join the account? Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. Just a second. Right.
Okay, while that's happening, yeah. So Yeah, I mean, it's like a weather, right? It's unfortunate how Twitter Space just seems a little bit buggy at times. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's
but it's
just
okay.
crazy.
Hey, we got to work with the system, I suppose. But um, so where we last left off was you asked
The
me
swap
what,
app.
yeah, what the swap app is good for. So I'll just do a real quick recap in case
Okay.
folks lost connection beforehand. And so um, Uniswap, great for within network asset swapping. So if it's on Ethereum, you can use Uniswap. It's a great app, battle tested. If you wanted to do cross chain, then the options are a lot more limited. And so things like DYDX doesn't allow. It's not a swap app per se, and it doesn't allow assets to be exchanged across the two different networks. And Jumper Exchange allows for cross chain, but it doesn't allow for creation of a deep liquidity. And by deep liquidity, I mean how does the how does the swap happen with a lot of counterparties on the other side? The only way you're going to ensure it is by allowing uh, liquidity pool to form on their own. And the way that the swap app is set up is that you can actually create limit orders on the back, uh, and that gets shown up as one of the counterparties that can be used for swapping the asset with. So it's a pretty neat concept. It's not the easiest to understand, but uh, at the end of it, what that means for the user of the application is that it's going to have a very low fee. So when if I were to just swap from ETH on Ethereum to Matic on Polygon, I might have to pay something like you know uh, 0.5% or 1% just to get the asset swapped. I don't know what the slippage situation is right now. And if I were to actually do that, then I would have to get ETH to convert that into WETH, and then get, then get WETH into you know bridge into Polygon, and then swap it over into Matic, right? So there's an additional step involved, and with the swap app that we're launching, you don't have to do that. It's just like instantaneous trade. Fees are very low, like 0.1%, and best of both worlds. And it's trustless swap across different chain without using bridges that can be uh, a, a honeypot for hackers. And we've seen what happened with bridges. So we just got to be careful with it. And this swap app does not rely on bridge in order for the assets to settle across different networks. So lots of advantages.
Amazing. All right. Let's quickly talk about your open alpha testnet. So, could you tell us about it and how it's been um, implemented during the development of the swap app to ensure that its UX UI is intuitive and user friendly?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've launched open alpha for the exchange front end long time ago, December of last year. And so if you go to alpha.tassen.exchange, that's the website, you'll see a exchange that works right now, and it's on various test nets, so the assets are fake. But you can demonstrate that cross-chain settlement is possible. Now, um, the swap app, which is a different way to uh, surface how traders would trade. I mean, because people are more familiar with Uniswap. So we've taken a lot of cue from Uniswap. We've taken a lot of cue from Jumper Exchange in terms of user experience. So just being more intuitive in terms of, okay, I want to select this chain, I want to select that asset uh, as a from asset, and then I want to exchange it to this asset on that chain, for an example. So like the user experience is going to be fairly intuitive in that regard because it uses the sort of like common UI that people are familiar with. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the swap app experience, but what we are doing is, making sure that when you say, 0.5% slippage limit, that's exactly it. It doesn't go above it, and also the uh, the range of allowed slippage limit might be a lot lower because, well, what's behind the scene working to provide that liquidity is actual order book. And, when I say order book, it's like you go to Binance and you see like, buy and sell orders popping up and going up, in and out. That's how fast the underlying technology works, and that allows for professional traders to add liquidity to the network very quickly, and that allows like very small spread, as people say, which is the price difference between uh, the lowest sell order and the highest buy order. So that allows for small spread, and that allows for very close to like price that you want when you swap. So a lot of these things are much more like refined user experience based on speed, how quickly the orders get filled, or the swaps happen, and we innovate on that. The user interfaces, we try to maintain what people are familiar with. But yeah, we've been at this for months now. Swap app in particular is relatively new initiative, so we've been working on it for maybe 2 months for it now. But the underlying tech, which is an important part, we've been working on it for 2 years now. So we're very confident in people are gonna love it. Like I highly encourage people to just go check out the alpha test website, alpha.tasn.exchange. Even if there's no swap app there right now, it's a good thing to try to use.
All right. Now, before I go to the next question, I would like to mention that I have tried inviting the official Project TXA account on Twitter, but it seems that
Oh, it's
might be
it's all
having
right.
some interest. Yeah. All
No
right.
problem. Yeah,
So, all
yeah.
right. Now, could you tell us about your plans for um, future iterations or upgrades of the Swap app?
Yeah, absolutely. So the iteration is going to be first, like, you know, we're getting ready for August launch, and we'll start to get uh, user feedback and user stories as to like what they like and what they don't like. So we'll be rapidly iterating on that. We'll be iterating on well, Swapbed itself is pretty straightforward. So we'll be keep adding features like um, adding sort of liquidity pool option that is similar to how um, Uniswap interface would look like. Although, like one can add liquidity to the swap ecosystem right away by just going to the underlying exchange. We intend on so the way to visualize it is there's an actual order book behind it, but we're also going to provide LP like interface that people are familiar with. If one's familiar with like providing liquidity pool for Uniswap, for an example. So that's gonna be like up on the horizon right away after August launch, and then um, so the underlying like technology is what's important, and so the settlement network will be one can stake and on the TXA network. One can if one has a TXA token, then one can stake into one of the validators that are operating, similar to how with Ethereum network, if you have like 33 ETH, you can stake into a validator and earn some fees. So similar to that, TXA network has similar concept. So if one has a TXA token, then one can stake into one of the validators that are operating and earn some fees off of it. Now, what are the fees that are happening, I can cover that a little bit more in detail, but I'll just keep it really short. Um, each time there's a settlement request, uh, the network provides the information that's required for traders to settle among themselves. So, like Alice, and Bob, how much money do they owe each other? And when that happens, the validators can charge up to 0.1% of the settlement value, and that money comes directly from traders for securing the network essentially, and stakers then can earn by participating in this staking ecosystem. And so imagine like daily settlement value going to be something like $500 million, then 0.1% of that is like $500,000. So that's on a daily basis. The validators can earn like large chunks of money, right? So, and then that can go back to the community for providing that securing the network and providing that collateral. So I think it's a phenomenal like ecosystem we have here, and come August, people are going to be able to stake TXA token, and it's a real yield, meaning we know where it comes from. It's not some magic, financial engineering. It comes directly from traders. They're willing to pay for all this, and higher the volume, more money the stakers make. So yeah, those are the plans ahead for the Swap app and Project TXA, and it's set up for great success.
All right. Now that you mentioned, I will come back to the swap app. But you mentioned the TXA token, and then it just sort of raised the question in my mind. I went through your white paper, and I sort of noticed like four different tokens. Like I saw the TXA, I saw the TXA.L, TXA.D, TXA.B, and I was just completely, confused. So, so I was wondering, like, in my experience in this space, I've seen two token systems. Actually, I've even seen three tokens, which are pretty rare. But four it was just a lot for me at
Oh,
that point. Yeah. So,
great point.
what could you just give like very small, tiny differences amongst these four tokens and their usages? Their uses rather in the system.
Absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, it can be confusing, and you make a great point. There are two token systems, like, and but like, why do we have so many tokens? Well, some of those tokens are internal to the network, so they don't really, they're not something that like you can buy from Binance or whatever. They're not intended to. Similar to how like some of the tokens, like for example, Curve Finance or, uh, you know. Stable tokens out there, they have like inverse assets or inversely pegged assets that they use, or some like representative assets. So similar to that, but ours is a lot more a lot more straightforward and simple. So to start with, the TXA token that one can buy from KuCoin, for an example, that is the main token. That is the token. So when I say and someone says TXA, that literally means the token that one can one can buy from KuCoin or MEXC or whatever. Now that token has all the utilities, all the functionalities, and all of the features that one would expect, and that's where the real value lies. Now in the future, what we want to do is create reward system that's internal to the settlement network. And in order to do that, let's say if you're providing liquidity on the platform, then one can earn, and this is a planned utility in the future. One could earn TXA-B token, which is um, the variation of it that is minted, and it's not competing with the main token, right? So that B token then can be used to uh, be converted into L token. There's a reason for like expiration and the conversion, but the B token is temporary, so it's given out when some utility is provided by network participants, and then that can be converted into the L token or TXA L token that is permanent. Now, that permanent token is tied to a particular wallet address or individual, and there's a reason why we did it this way. And the reason why we did it that way is to like keep track of things like reputation, keep track of things like how active this person is in the network, and so on and so forth. So this is like you can think of TXAL token like a loyalty point on the network, and then the B token is like a go between. So if someone provides a utility, on an automated way, but really want to use it, then like it's kind of it's going to force that person to convert B token into L token. Otherwise, like you would have problem with too much inflation, even though those TXA B tokens and L tokens themselves are not tradable and they don't have a value on the open market, unlike say the main token, right? The TXA A token. Now, there's no intention of retiring TXA A token in the near future. So which means that that's going to just continue to decrease in circulation numbers, right? So whenever settlement happens, small amount of TXA, main token is going to be burned, which means that there's going to be less and less of it over time. I think the calculation was something like 0.07 or 0.08% of the token is going to be burned for each $1 worth of settlement that happens or something like that. So there's a steady deflation of the main TXA8 token. So that provides scarcity. Now for B and L token, it's elastic supply. So what we wanted to do is create a way for the users of the network to earn new tokens without diluting the existing token holders. That's freely tradable. Now those loyalty tokens B and L, those are not something that can easily be traded. It's like tied to an address and so on and so forth. So I think that provides a good balance. Now there is the intermediary token that is used for like conversion. That's something that is much more like deeper in the infrastructure. So I think it's suffice to say the BNL tokens are mostly what people are going to see when the network is fully mature, but those are not going to be competing in the dollar value or whatever it is to the main the tokens that are out there. So I hope that helps a little bit. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
a lot, a
great.
lot. Right. On that now, I mentioned that I will go back to the swap app, but I still have one question about the tokens. Now you have just educated us, right, on the differences, amongst this four tokens and the uses. Now, it's something that seems pretty, complex to understand, right? And it will require constant education of your community, of the users of the TXT system. So what measures have been put in place to this effect?
Right. So that's a great question. So you're asking all the right questions that I hope more people would ask, which is how do we ensure that community keeps up to date? Um, so we have the Discord community that's like standard affair for token projects. So if you go to discord.gg/project TXA, one word, discord.gg/project TXA, that's where I'm there every day, and all of our community members are there. So I encourage everyone to join and just ask questions there. But we also have uh, you know documentations at the website. So if one were to point browser to docs.txa.app, that website should have all of the up to date information about how the network operates, how stakers rewards are handled, and that sort of thing. Now, finally, we realized that there are a lot of questions that are perennial, but complex enough where, like, the FAQs or frequently asked questions, static documentations are not sufficient, and, like, community moderators don't really get paid that much, or not at all sometimes. And I'm very grateful for them. So, which means that there are limitations to how many people are going to be available to answer these questions. So, what we've done is we put together a AI bot using OpenAI and other, like, large language models, and we put together a bot to answer some of these questions in Discord. So, we call it TXA Tommy. I don't know where I came up with the name Tommy, but it felt like it was a good name. And if you're in our Discord server, you can ask the bot the questions about, hey, like, questions about topics that are in the white paper, and it'll do its best to try to answer the question. And so far, it's been good. And I think that AI presents a unique opportunity in educating and keeping up with community.
Okay, can I just say that is a huge credit to the project, And as for the reason why you came up with Tom, honestly, Tom is cool. Tom needs to answer questions. And I think that the fact that people can ask questions about any part of the white paper is absolutely amazing, because projects like TXA, a little bit, technical, and not all of us are, tech oriented and all of that, So I think I love that solution that you have created. It makes absolute sense. Okay, let me ask, who do you think will receive the most benefit from your platform? Is it traders? Is it stakers? Is it network operators? Or will
Uh,
TXA actually be a protocol for all communities, like all of them?
yeah. So each uh, group gets different tangible benefits out of it. So for traders, they get extremely fast trades at a competitive, if not if not lower fees than top tier centralized exchanges out there. I mean, there's a reason why people still trade centralized exchange even after what happened with FTX, right? Because it's convenient, it's fast, and so on and so forth. So Project TXA provides a tech to enable that speed. Secondly, yeah, the fees are going to be lower in general for trading, and then it also allows for self custody of assets if you are if you're a avid trader, whether you're retail or institutional or not. So that means that even if say exchange website goes down because someone's attacking the website with DDoS or whatever it is, or company goes under, even if the website goes down, whatever assets that you have that you've deposited can be just withdrawn and because it's on chain. Your assets are on chain. So, like, unlike say Mt. Gox or FTX, where the people who are defrauded they have to wait months and months, if not years, to recover their assets. Like Mt. Gox, which happened 11 years ago, almost 11 years ago, people are still getting compensated for the assets that they, that were rightfully their property. Um, and FTX is going to be similar. It's going to take 10 years to get everybody's money back. But in a situation where exchange goes down, number one, uh, the traders never have to worry, whether they're going to get their money back, and then two, it was never the money of the exchanges to begin with, and exchanges that are operating on top of Project TXA, or TXA network, has zero control over the traders' funds, zero control. So that's quite a guarantee, which means exchange might go down a day or two, or maybe like it's a targeted coordinated attack, but you'll still get your money back at the end of the day or next day or whatever, even within a couple hours. that's just huge amount of like relief. So, and then finally, traders can trade assets cross chain, like so, without barrier, and that becomes something that is quite difficult to guarantee in a decentralized way. And we think we have a good solution to that. And for stakers, now people who are yield farming, like you really have to think about where the where the money is coming from. Like for a lot of these projects, and I consider myself relatively well informed, and I still have no idea where the yields are coming from. Some of these projects, I can say that at least for staking TXA to a validator, community operated validator, we know exactly where the money is coming from. In fact, traders are the ones who are paying to get their settlement secured. So there's a direct reason why these things are being done. And on my rough estimate, and again, none of this is to be considered as a financial advice, but for staking TXA to a validator, one could earn something like 175% or 178% annualized return, which is quite a great number for compounded return. So I think that provides a lot of value to everyone. And finally, for builders, if one were building something like like an OpenSea alternative, right? Like, if you are a NFT creator and you want to create assets in a network that's cheaper, but you want to get directly paid in networks that have highest number of highest amount of money in there, then for an example, I buy a lot of NFTs, mostly cat oriented, but one of my favorite artists would make her art on Polygon, and but I have most of my money in Ethereum network, so I would have to then swap it over to WETH and then bridge it over to Polygon, and use that to buy the assets on Polygon, right? So instead of that, what if like it works similar to OpenSea, but allows NFT creators to mint assets in one network, but list the asset for sale in price in another network's asset, right? So Project TXA allows that kind of flexibility in technology and builders to build on top of. So I think it has a great value to offer to all those different parties.
All right. I think I'm going to throw in maybe two more questions and then take three questions from the community before we wrap up the VC. And one of the two questions I would like to ask what strategies have been put in place, to ensure the scalability and sustainability of the TXA network? That is the first question. And then a second question I would like to follow up with is on the aspect of funding. I mean, you have built something this good, and this question is coming from the aspect, of course, perspective of an investor, a user of the TXA network. Beautiful presentation so far. Listening to the use case, yes, but an investor just wants to know, okay, I want to invest in this project, right? But I would like to know all of this that's been developed so far. Where did the funding come from? Was there any form of seed sale, private sale, or any kind of raise or VC backing? Anything like that. How were you able to fund the development of the TXA project up until now? Those are the two questions that I have.
Great. So I'll answer the second question, and I might need
Okay.
reminder of the first one. But
All right.
how did I fund it? I was working in Silicon Valley. I lived in Silicon Valley and worked there many years, and I worked at Samsung. I worked at Metallicus, which is another blockchain company, and um, back 4 years ago, 2019, uh, I wanted to start, this down this road of developing this technology because I traded quite a bit since 2006. Like, ever since I got my first job, I traded options, stocks and, leverage products, futures, and all that stuff. Um, and I've been a retail trader, sort of a active trader for a fairly long time. And when I left my job in 2019, uh, I actually just cashed in my 401k and sold a lot of my bitcoins and all that stuff to like self fund the project 4 years ago. And then 2 years of hard development and like just getting the words out. We did a token sale, and the pre-sale details are online. I welcome everybody to look at it, and the details are on the website www.txa.app. Now, because the token unlock schedules were mostly 2 years, like it's fully dispersed. The pre-sale tokens are uh, more or less like all dispersed, and that's the reason why you're seeing kind of flat movement on the token price right now. We are listed on KuCoin as well as MEXC and XT.com along with other exchanges. So that's how we've been funding it. So we did pre-sale, we did, but most importantly, I emptied out my life savings to actually start this. So I always joke that um, the fastest way to be poor in crypto, and that's to start a open source project. And it's been it's passion project, but also my life's mission at this point. I've invested my own money in it, my sort of like life savings in it. So I'm all in, so to speak. Yeah, so that's how we've been funding it. We have many years of runway. We have, the team size of the team, we're roughly around 26 people, half of which are engineers. 13 or so. We have team members all over the world, mostly in U.S. and Japan, but we have some team members in Brazil, for example, and UK, and all over the map. So I don't get a lot of sleep. To Would you mind reminding me the first question? I'm so sorry.
Definitely, definitely. I asked the first question was, what strategies have been put in place to ensure
Perfect.
the scalability and the sustainability of the TXA network?
Yeah, absolutely. We get asked that a lot, and in fact, very close phrasing of it. We've been asked in many, many, many AMAs, and surprising to hear that's a very exciting question. So that's good. And the what we've done, both on strategy and the implementation of that strategy is, well, number one, we want to make sure that network settlement capacity increases. So that's why the rewards exist, right? So if the staking reward didn't exist, then no one would, stake. And if no one stakes, then there's no collateral that allows for settlements to even happen. So we think that the staking rewards are sufficiently juicy that there's going to be a lot of commitments, and people operating validators and so on and so forth. So that helps like with the horizontal scaling of settlement capacity. Now, when it comes to actual like exchanges and applications working, we invested quite a bit of resources into exchange having sufficient developers and DevOps working on it, so that like if there's a peak in traffic, for an example, how to handle it properly and so on and so forth. Now, that's not really the decentralized portion, but we still need to make sure that we have like user experience in mind when it comes to the exchange front end. So that's been done going very smoothly. And then finally, like you know, how do we scale the project, moving past just one or two, companies working on it, right? So we've been and maybe this is a little bit in a different vein of a question to answer, but
No, absolutely. It's in the same vein. You really think about it.
okay, perfect. Yeah, perfect. All right. Yeah. So like what we've been doing is reaching out to various like layer one protocols that want to partner with us and enter into like co-marketing agreements and things of that nature. So um, we've we've been partnering with we're trying to partner with uh, various layer one, like for example, Rootstock is one of them, which is a Bitcoin sidechain. Um, so those deals are coming up. They're not finalized yet, but that's why we haven't really spoken about it at length. But we think that that's going to be valuable. At launch, we have um, multiple networks that we're going to support out of the box. Like, for example, Ethereum for sure, Arbitrum, and Polygon and Rootstock, and perhaps even more EVM compatible networks in the future. So um, we're coming up very close to like setting up sort of like a framework for collaboration. Like how do we quickly onboard projects and have tokens listed or supported on the network so that it can be listed on the exchanges. Like again, like decisions are made separately, of course, exchange listing versus token being supported, but like the our biz dev machinery is in full swing. Like we're getting all the market makers onboarded. We're getting big names onboarded. Um, so yeah, big deals. Unfortunately, again, like with these things, like until we have the deal all ready to go, it's hard to talk about it. But yeah, we have at least like two or three big name market makers that have shown interest in um, using using the hybrid decentralized exchange that's being built on top of Project TXA. And so yeah, the future looks bright. And one more thing I wanted to say is that we want to. I mean, it is already open source project, so anybody who wants to commit code can just go to our GitLab, project page, which is gitlab.com. It's not GitHub, it's GitLab. GitLab.com/ Project TXA, one word, and then you'll see a bunch of different projects that are open source. And unlike Uniswap, we don't use business license, open business license, or whatever hell they're calling it. We actually just use open source license, so you can actually fork it, use it however you want. Very permissive. So we think that that's going to encourage more developers to come on board. We'll set aside some bounties for developing new features. So yeah, we're kind of uh, you know firing on all cylinders to ensure project becomes a success. Oh, one more thing. You asked about investors. Who are the notable VCs? So Kinetic Capital, which has been sort of like quiet. They've been like quietly behind the scene on many of the successful projects that are out there. So John Chu from Kinetic has been the early supporter of the project, and we couldn't have done it without his help. And there are many other projects that have been helping us, and many other funds that have invested. But Kinetic, really comes out on top as being very supportive of a venture capital firm that's backed us. And well, I mean, like don't tell anyone I said this, but like they've been with us for 2 years, so that tells you something about how because normally VCs just come in and they drop off the ecosystem after like a year or whatever, or 6 months, right? So if they're sticking around for 2 years and continuing to help us, that tells you something, in my view, about sort of long-term viability of this project.
Right. I will not tell anyone. So thank you for, really explaining that. I think because we got caught up initially when we started the AMA, I will take an extra time, just to take 3 questions, and then we can release you so that you can rest. I think that you really need it. Okay. Yeah. So let me quickly take three questions from the community, and I will begin with Nita. Yes, Nita. Nita Zainab. Um, you go first. We'll take a question first, Nita, and then if you're there, you can speak, Nita.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep. I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay, my question is, how does hDEX aim to foster a environment for both traders and SDPs? Are there any additional mechanism or incentives in place to encourage active participation and engagement within the hDEX community?
Yeah, it was kind of hard to hear, but I think I got the gist of your question. So that was, um, how do you plan on encouraging participation on the network, and how do you plan on getting more people to participate in hDEX? And for those of you who are not familiar with what hDEX is hybrid-Decentralized exchange. That's the term that we're using for any exchange that builds on top of the TXA network. And Athen, which is a company, one of the first companies to build on top of TXA network, is calling its exchange hDEX. Now, so this is how it works. More exchanges that are built on top of TXA network, more valuable the network becomes. And the reason for that is, well, the validators can, work with multiple, or commit to working with one exchange or multiple exchanges. So that means that as the as more applications are built on top of TXA network, and more exchanges are happening on TXA network, the stakers are getting, more rewards for participate in like, all of the exchanges that are participating. So the greater the volume, the better the return for everyone. Now, how how to encourage more people to participate in the network? Well, I mean, I think there are multiple ways to do it. One is encourage innovation, maybe like I said earlier, like bounties and bug bounties, community projects that can be funded. You can think of it like I mentioned the NFT use case earlier. So um, instead of NFT artists going to OpenSea and just trading on OpenSea only, I think NFT artists can just spin up their own NFT marketplace, like so that way, like the everybody has their own website, their own marketplace that sits on top of the TXA network. That they don't have to worry about, hey, how do we hook into OpenSea and all that stuff. Like they don't have to worry about that, and it's also cross chain. So I think that'll like foster a lot of collaboration and participation. So thanks for the question. Yep.
Okay, thank you so much for answering.
Yep, of course.
Okay, can I go to my question?
Yes, please go ahead with your question. Thank you, Nidas.
Thank you. My question is about every project have difficulties what they pass through. Can you tell us what you are battling with currently on the project TXA and how you invent on solving your problems on the long run, which won't cause a problem to the project shoutouts and to make the project become successful. Can you tell us about your challenges currently?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So the biggest challenge is again like getting the word out and getting everybody to even know about the project. So that's why we're here, and that's why um, I'm always open to public engagement. In fact, the harder questions that people ask, the better, because then I can kind of demonstrate, hey, like we thought about all these problems and so on and so forth. Now, the second challenge outside of marketing and outreach is um, just the technical challenge itself. So, like one of the big challenges, how do we ensure that system, it minimizes or eliminates certain type of settlement risks. Like, for example, what happens if validators provide incorrect value, or they're just not available, or so on and so forth, right? So those challenges are being met with this number of security strategies. Pardon me. It's allergy season here. Number of security strategies. So first thing we do is we do what's called the functional hazard assessment. So we highlight every thing that can go wrong with various components that we build, and then we try to poke a hole in it and then make sure that we address that. That's sort of manual. And then the second thing that we try to do is we just test the heck out of everything that we deploy. So we write automation as well as manual tests. And then the third thing is third way in which we're addressing the security issue is we're looking. We've done it some time ago, and we're looking into expanding on it. Is using what's called a constraint-based parametric search by using using a method software called a TLA plus. And so TLA plus is this part of tooling that one would use in broader pursuit called a formal verification that allows for us to exhaustively search the problem space and see in what instance the modeled system fails. So that helps kind of get to an answer. It's a little different than fuzzing. So fuzzing is just randomly guessing from range of values. But TLA plus allows interconnected system and a concurrent system to be tested. So that allows us to find all kinds of errors. And then last part of the security strategy, of course, I haven't even mentioned audit because that's obvious thing to do. And the fourth security strategy is to look into writing the core functionality code in programming languages that are better suited for what's called the formal verification. So formal verification is this very neat methodology that allows mathematical proof of certain things happening or certain things not happening. And by doing that, then one is most certain about some outcomes, right? So then by getting a mathematical proof, then that eliminates a whole class of errors. So but in order to get there, we may need to write the software in programming language that's well suited to do that, like Idris 2 or Haskell or something like that. But for now, we write the software in Solidity and Go, but that's in the next year's pipeline. So yeah, a lot of things happening. We'll cover a lot of that. And finally, we're that's the biggest challenge for me, which is getting the words out, and then making sure that the system is as secure as it can be. So thanks for the question.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think that we will wrap it up here because we've covered quite a lot of things, and I know that there are still a lot of things that honestly I would love to know about the project. But I would say that if you, like me, have other things that you'd like to know about the project, make sure to follow Project TXA on Twitter and join the community on Discord so that any question that you might have regarding the project going forward will be answered freely in the community. And Jay, thank you so much for taking out the time to come talk with us. And
Yep.
It was great having you here.
There's one quick thing I do want to say. So Elon Musk banned our original Project TXA Twitter account. So please follow the new official Twitter account called Project TXA. It's in one of the listeners here, and I also have it on my profile. Now the reason for ban wasn't something serious. It was we replied to his post, and he didn't like it. But that's it. So yeah, thanks Jenny, and thank you crypto miners for hosting the event.
Yeah, it was amazing talking to you. And can I just say that please make sure to rest because, well, there will be no dream or no Project
Of
TXA
course.
without you. So please do rest. All
Absolutely. Yeah,
right.
thanks for that.
All right. So, everyone who joined, thank you so much for staying with us till the end. And for those that couldn't take your questions, like I said, join the Discord community and ask any question that you might have. Lastly, as I always say, no matter how excited we are about any project that we present here, and none of what we do is financial advice. None of what we present is financial advice. And you have the responsibility to do your research extensively on any project that you might be interested in. All right. So, once again, thank you everyone for joining us, and see you in our next session. Bye.